Hey, let's go back to working with text, and we're also going to introduce the states where we're saving and restoring and to provide a little bit more clarification on why we do that. So we had our text object that we were writing out this counter, and this was all done with JavaScript dynamically. So we also have an option to scale, and scaling allows us to scale the size. And in here, we're doing text. So particularly, we're going to focus on the text. So the next CTX object that we want to scale, and if you do a minus sign and 1, so scaling at 1 to 1 on the left axis and changing it to negative will reverse the way that the output is being presented. And I'm going to update this to center. And notice that we've lost several of the items on the counter. And that's because this is as well being repositioned. So if I do a negative on it, I see the negative values. And if I keep it as a positive, I see the positive values, but I don't see them because we're scaling it to the opposite size. So that's going off of the screen. So in order to fix this and to solve this, we have to multiply, and we also have to update the position. So I'm going to use a ternary operator and create a variable called tog, and then using the modulus, determining if it's got a remainder. So basically I'm checking if it's odd or even, and I'm going to toggle negative and positive values for tog. So this will alternate the values as it goes through. And right now we still don't see anything because we're not able to see the values being output. So let's just take this and I'll multiply it by tog. So remember, it's going to either be 0, it's going to be either a 1 or a negative 1, depending on what the value of x is. And then lastly, let's do a CTX save to save at the current state. And then just before we conclude, we'll do a restore to restore it back to the initial starting state. And so what that did is that actually cleaned up the list because this allowed us to go back to the initial state position where we're starting off. And that's how you can use the save and restore in order to go back to the initial position. So when we're not using those, the positioning got all messed up because of the scaling. And that often happens when you do these types of transformations. So that's why save and restore are a good way to go back to the default positioning. And then we're using the tog to either to put it 350 plus or 350 negative, because when we reverse the scale, that's also going to be reversing the left position as well. And if we were to reverse the scale on the y-axis, then we'd have to accommodate for that one as well within the positioning of the content. And that's going to be a little bit more complex because we're already using x to find the positions. So try this out as well within the text file, and you can be ready to move on to the next lesson.